If ever there was proof that electric cars can be thrilling and characterful, it's this. The BMW i8 Roadster is a car built to deliver shock and awe. A plug-in hybrid complete with an electric motor and 3-cylinder petrol engine delivering a storming 374 brake horsepower and an official 33 miles of electric running.
But enough talking, because this is a car that needs to be driven. It's what it's all about. It's a supercar or sports car, whatever you want to call it. I'm not going to argue the semantics. It's a supercar with an eco-conscience. After all, stick it in sport mode down here, flap your way through the 6-speed auto, floor it, listen to that engine. It's a little 1.5 litre, 3-cylinder turbocharged engine right behind your ear. I don't know how well you can hear it, but it sounds really cool in the car, especially with the roof down on the Roadster. You get that really lovely sort of bass, thrummy note to it, really cool. Gearbox is nice and responsive too, and this thing handles wonderfully. My one big criticism right now is quite cold and icy, and this car's got quite skinny little front tyres, so it does understeer a lot more if you push it into a corner than its rivals. I'm not going to get through this review without saying the P word, am I? So Porsche 911, Audi R8, all of that lot. While the i8 is 4-wheel drive, so that petrol engine drives the rear wheels and the electric motor drives the front wheels, you definitely get quite a lot more understeer if you really try and push it in slippery conditions like this. Even so, once you've got used to that, and I have driven this in dry conditions and it's a lot better, it's really grippy and feels really sort of quite brutal then actually. Once you've got used to it, it's just a joy. There's sort of a delicacy to the way it handles. The steering's quite light in normal use, and then you can chuck it into a corner and it weights up nicely, and it's just really sort of poised. There's quite good feel actually through the steering wheel. You really get how much traction there is to play with, and there's a quite good texture of what's going on the road surface. It's lovely, really, really, really good fun. And also I would say this car is really good fun to drive at normal road speeds, which is quite unusual for a car of this sort of performance and power. Often you feel like you have to push it really hard to get the best from it. Even the ride comfort I wouldn't quibble with. I mean, obviously because this car's very lightweight, so it's carbon fibre and aluminium construction, it's a very, very stiff car. And that means that when you go over bumps and things, you can feel it sort of, it tilts the whole frame of the car because there's just so little flex in it. And you really do feel that, but because it's damped very well, it's not uncomfortable, so it controls it all very nicely. It gives the whole thing a real sense of sort of taut kind of purpose to it. It's what you want from a sports car. Now, the bad stuff. The performance on the i8 is far from bad. In fact, in the right conditions at the right time, even in the mid-range rather than a standing start, it feels properly fast. It never feels slow, this car. And yet, and I'm afraid it is a big problem, this car will do 0 to 62 in 4.6 seconds. And if you are a numbers fan, that is rubbish compared to anything you can get at the same £130,000 price tag. Porsche 911, Audi R8, Honda NSX, McLaren 570, you name it. If you want performance, you need to look elsewhere. Still, obviously the real joy of this car is that it's not only a supercar, it's also an electric car. So once you've had enough of that, if you ever have enough of that, I don't think I would, stick it in comfort, go for e-drive. You can have max e-drive or auto e-drive, sort of does it for you, and also you can set it to hold the electric charge button if you want to, deep in that auto e-drive menu. And then you can sit back, relax, and of course, under 30 miles an hour, you can also put that roof up, and all of a sudden you have a nice, snug, comfortable, quiet. It's quite a bit of suspension noise, I'll give you that. A bit of tyre noise as well, but still a really nice, quiet, comfortable, easy drive. And you've got, in the real world, probably about 20 to 25 miles of electric running. So we've struggled to get anywhere near the 33 miles that BMW claims, I must say. Even so, that's going to be enough for most people to do their commute with, plus you get free entry to London, all that stuff. And once that little petrol engine's running, probably about 35 to 40 mpg in normal driving. So it's really a very cheap car to run for this level of performance car in particular. And you can't really knock that. And that really is the two-faced beauty of the BMW i8. On one side, it's a real kind of quite brutal, raucous supercar, and then flick a switch and it's virtually free for your drive into London, and all in a car that looks this extravagant. So in that respect, it really is such a complete package. It's just wonderful.
As with any plug-in hybrid, regular charging is critical to get the financial and environmental benefits. Plug the i8 in via the port on the front wing and you'll get a full charge into the 11.6 kilowatt-hour battery in around 4 hours from a normal 3-pin socket. A fast charger of 7 kilowatts or more will deliver a full charge in around 3 hours. As with most plug-in hybrids, there's no rapid charging capability here, so even though you can charge the i8 at any public charger with a Type 2 plug, the i8 will still take around 2 hours for an 80% charge or 3 hours for the full charge.
So you do get a rear luggage space in the i8, which is actually really neatly houses the 3-pin and Type 2 cables that the i8 comes with as standard, both of which are 5-metre cables. You could get a soft weekend bag or something on top of them too, which is useful. And in the cabin, there is a bit more space. So you could get enough stuff in here for a decent weekend away for two, as long as you pack light.
However, the i8 is a long way from the most practical performance car. Even getting in and out of it, seeing out of it, or manoeuvring around tight car parks is much harder in the i8 than it is in a Porsche 911 or even the Audi R8.
Once you're in, the cabin is a real strong point in the i8. You get loads of equipment as standard, including these lovely leather seats, which are heated and electrically adjustable, memory function for the driver as well, climate control, cruise control, parking sensors front and rear, and a 360-degree camera, 20-inch wheels, metallic paint. Really, you get everything you could possibly want. Of course, you can spend thousands on getting a carbon fibre trim and all that kind of thing should you wish, but you don't need to. You also get the 8.8-inch iDrive system as standard, which is really cool. So you get voice control, sat-nav, you get Bluetooth, DAB, of course. You even get a head-up display and wireless charging for your phone. The only thing that you're going to want to add as an option is Apple CarPlay, which, particularly cheeky for a car of this price, given that it's standard on most family hatches, costs £235. So you are going to want to add that. Apart from that, really, you cannot knock the standard equipment on the i8. It's a real strong point of the car. And apart from that, I think this interior looks great. It's got just the right amount of flair to match the outside of this car. So, you know what I'm going to say, don't you? The i8 is less practical, not as quick, and more expensive than most of its rivals. So, why on earth would you buy one? I mean, sure, 46 grams per kilometre of CO2 is exceptional for a car of this performance, but how many business users are going to be able to squeeze one of these through the accounts? And yet, for all that I love a meaty V8 or a screaming V6 as much as the next enthusiast, I have to say this, the i8 is just as exciting, just as thrilling. It feels like nothing else on earth, honest, and that is what's so spectacular about it. For loads more reviews and advice on every other electric and hybrid car going, head to DrivingElectric.com and don't forget to check us out on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook and Instagram.